Hi everyone! Today I'm going to be drilling some bins for my gecko racks. A bit of a disclaimer, this is a lot slower than burning holes with a soldering iron, so if you're okay with the look of those, then go ahead and do that because it's about 5 times as fast. But I like something a little more polished. So a couple years ago I set up some bins for juveniles, and I used the method of drilling and then cleaning up the edges. You can see it looks really nice. So this is just a Sterilite sweater box, 15 quarts. And these final holes are 5/16 of an inch. So today I want to set up some larger bins for adults. This is a Sterilite 32 quart blanket box size. So what I've done here is I've kind of marked out where I want to drill the holes. I just laid a yardstick under the edge here, and these are about 2 inches apart. I'm planning to drill 1/2 inch holes, and on the either end I did the same thing. This is about 1 inch down from the bottom of the edge here. I didn't want them too low. So I have everything here ready to go. Yardstick and marker for marking where I'm going to drill. These are generic bits. They're good for wood and plastic and anything else pretty much. This one is 7/64 of an inch. I'm going to use this to drill pilot holes. It's a lot easier to be precise on positioning with a skinny bit like this. And then I'm going to move on to using the step bit here and go all the way up to the very end at 1/2 inch. These are so wonderful for drilling through thin material or fragile material. They very gradually widen the hole and end up pretty clean in most cases. And of course safety stuff, safety goggles, and dust mask, which this isn't really dusty, but I prefer to be safe. You definitely want one of these if you're working with wood or something that puts off fine powder when you drill it. And this is a number 2 X-Acto. I'm going to use this at the very end to kind of clean up the burrs on any of the holes I've drilled. Alright, let's get started. I learned quite a lot last year when I was doing the hatchling bins. Obviously, as I mentioned, it's much easier to get positioning if you use pilot holes. And it also helps avoid cracking the plastic, which sometimes happens if you start with too large of a drill bit. And the other thing is that when these heat up, they melt, and that's not what you want when you're drilling. So slow speeds, and I also keep this lovely bowl of cold water here and dip the bit in it every so often to cool it down. So we'll start by doing the pilot hole. Sit down the bit on your mark. And there we go. That one's pretty easy, and you can go a little fast, not going to heat up that much. Now I'm going to switch to the step bit. These things are awesome. You can get them in lots of different size gradients, and this one I'm going to go right to the end, which is 1/2 inch. So the key here is to go slow. Don't want to push too hard or you're going to crack the plastic. Putting very little pressure on this. I'm letting the bit chew its way through and just following it with my hand. And this one looks very nice already. It's not even going to need much cleaning at all. I'll do one more just to let you see one more. I'm not going to make you watch all of them though. Quite a few holes on this. I'm just swapping bits out just so I can show you a couple. Normally you do all the pilot holes and then you do all the step bit drilling. And that's where the ice water comes in handy, because after a few holes the drill bits are going to start getting pretty hot. So last step is just to check for any little burrs. So this one, you can see it's a little bit rough there on the edge. And I'm just going to take the X-Acto. You hold it at an angle with the blade down and just kind of move it. And you're just going to get a very fine shaving off there. So besides keeping the bit cool, you also want to clean off any plastic that gets wrapped around it. So you can see here, this is kind of like tied around the tip. So just work it off with my nail before I do the next hole. Also a good opportunity to make sure this isn't getting hot. Everything gets softer, especially metal, when it's hot, and it makes the holes worse, but it also can make your bit go dull over time if you keep letting it overheat. And here's the finished product. And it looks very nice and clean.